And maybe we'll get lucky and they won't leave at 4 o'clock every day.
You got to turn left up here, don't
Yeah. He don't know it, but he's losing the slow bike race. Man, today felt so much like a Friday, and it's only Thursday. Gotta go back to work tomorrow. Anyways, what's up, guys? So I was just gonna come at you with a little video today that I've been thinking about maybe trying to somehow put this in like a tutorial format. I don't know, we'll have to see. I've still thinking about it, but I want to talk about it all the same, and then maybe with a little feedback and figure out the direction to approach it, if I approach it at all. But one thing I was thinking or have been thinking about is, now that I'm getting more into getting back into doing some more off-road riding, just trail riding with the occasional enduro or hare scramble style race. It's pretty easy skill-wise for me to do it on the 140, which I just bought, to be like a play bike essentially, and it's obviously not a race bike, but a play bike that also, size-wise, I chose that one because my wife can ride it. But I'm thinking that, with it being something sized for her, if she takes to it, riding it more often as time goes on, then in a year or two, I'm going to possibly go some type of maybe two-stroke trail, race bike, XC or XCW style bike, not necessarily KTM or Husqvarna. Anyway, all that to say this: I've been thinking about a lot, getting better, getting back into a little bit better shape for riding, which right now I put really no effort into. I don't work out or go to the gym, but also getting better skill-wise, and for me, getting not necessarily, I would love to be better than I've ever been on a bike off-road, but I don't know if that's realistic, considering if you travel backwards in time 10 to 8 years, I was pretty good. I'm not that good anymore, and then I wasn't that great, but I was good. So I've been thinking, like I said, about building skill. That's really what I'm getting at. And how can I either maybe make some videos to help demonstrate some of the things I might have done back then or would do now to help build skill and get a little better. And then also what's some of the things that I remember doing, even, if I didn't even realize it was helping me. For example, when I was a kid, I'd go over to one of my buddy's houses to ride, and we just had 50s, and I think he had a XR80, and I still had a 50. I was like 6 years old. Well, he lived in a subdivision yard, but it was pretty big. So without even we'd race around the house just as fast as we could go. Another thing we would do, though, is he had a pretty long, flat, straight driveway, we would slow race all the time. And that we would slow race as like an intermission to our ripping around his yard wide open. And in hindsight, there's no telling how much better that made us, even though we just thought it was goofing off having a slow race. So I'm thinking of some of the things that one could do to become better off-road, even on something like the KLR. It's not like a race bike, you're just using it as a trail bike. Well, what are some of the things you could do off-road, or on-road rather, like in your yard or in a parking lot in the evenings, like find an empty parking lot that you could practice in? And what are some of the things you could work on that would in turn help you on the trail become a better rider? And I'm sure there's probably an infinite amount of tutorial videos on things such as this, but since I'm going to be going through this potentially, trying to get better for what I anticipate might be some more off-road racing, no more motocrossing, but just these hare scrambles and enduro type races for my local Sika series. And so if I'm going to be doing it, I figure I might give my opinion on it and maybe try to document it in some kind of video. So just basic stuff. And one thing that really comes to mind with the KLR specifically is your slow speed maneuvering. So I mean, it's something you can practice in a parking lot. You can practice it in your yard. Your yard could be that big, and you could practice first gear slow speed maneuvering. You could set out a couple cones. You could run figure eights. You could do it. You could go to an abandoned parking lot and set up a couple water bottles pretty tight and practice figure eights for a few minutes in the evenings on your way home from work if you don't even have a yard, and really work on basic slower maneuvers and techniques, things like clutch control, modulating the clutch and the throttle together, obviously adding in some rear brake, and just doing some things like that would translate to being better on the trail and being better off-road. It help build things like balance, slow speed balance, really help improve that. And it's always been obvious to me, based on the content that I watch and the stuff I watched growing up. Like I love watching trials events, although I've never ridden a trials bike. I've sat on one in a dealership once. But the idea of it and watching it is something I really enjoy. Well, one thing that is common with trials riders is they are, I will say, by far the best group of motorcycle riders there is. So if you take a group of weekend warrior motocross racers from all classes and just put them through a series of general events like, hey, let's do this race, but then let's also come over here and ride trials, and then let's also get on a big fat Harley and do a cone course that the police department does, and then let's do this. Like, the trials guys would dominate every other non-trials motorcycle event on average compared to any other group of motorcyclists. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I mean, it's an opinion, but I feel like it's a pretty accurate one. And the reason they would be so good at it is they have the best balance by far, clutch control, brake control, throttle control, and that's things you can work on, like I said, in a yard or a parking lot on something big, heavy, and slow like the KLR. So it's like you don't need X to get better at X. Like if you're wanting to get better at trail riding your KLR, you don't have to go out and ride trails to see an improvement on the trails. There's some things you could do off the trails that would probably drastically improve your trail riding in due time. And you know, whatever you wanted to get better at. If you wanted to get better at, you know, you name it, hard enduro, there's some things you could do outside of going out and riding hard enduro events to improve your results when you are doing hard enduro events. So I've been thinking about that. Like I said, I don't know if it would make sense to maybe make some tutorial videos or just, you know, kind of as I progress or try to progress in becoming a better rider again off-road, if I come across anything that I like or felt like it really helped me, maybe I just talk about it instead of maybe making a video or something. I don't know. I don't know what would be considered, like I said, you know, best. Would really, I don't know, just spitballing ideas at this point, and now I'm rambling about my spitballed ideas. So anyway, let me know what you think about what I've been talking about. You know, some of it may seem obvious to some riders, like, yeah, duh, more seat time. Don't really matter what the seat time is, more seat time's not going to hurt. But, I mean, really focusing your seat time, or some small portion of your seat time, like I said, like in a small parking lot or in your yard, and really focusing it on a few specific things will definitely see a result compared to, just getting seat time riding up and down the road like I'm doing now isn't probably going to produce any kind of result. So, yeah. Anyway, that's the things I've got floating around in my head. I've been spitballing, thinking back and forth on whether I should maybe try to make some videos about it, or whether I should maybe just talk about it, or whether I should shut my mouth and not do anything about it, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you think. See if it piques your interest, if it's something you'd like to see, and also let me know if there's something like this you already watch from a specific source. If you can name, you know, one specific source, like, hey, go watch this guy or this girl. They've got some really good videos like what you're describing. And if you watch anything like that or know of anything like that, shoot me a comment, let me know. I'd love to check it out. So anyway, until next time, I guess, enjoy the ride. Comment, like, share, subscribe, or if you hate it, do none of that. You know, it's a free world. But anyways, catch you next time. And I almost forgot my signature ending here. Oh, that sucked.
You suck!
Alright, take two. Now, I'd like to point out, riding a wheelie like this is in no way what I consider a skill as referred to in this video previously. Nothing about knowing how to do that makes you a better rider off-road. I would almost argue that knowing how to do that also doesn't mean you're a better rider on-road. So take that for what it's worth.